Hello, hello, and Happy New Year to everybody. Good afternoon. Uh, if you are here live, please say live and where you're coming in from. Or if you're checking out the replay, say replay and where you're coming in from. I love to hear where everybody is coming in from. Um, if we don't know each other, I'm Rhonda Jean Dillard, and I love helping ambitious people just like yourself learn how to manifest your very best health and financial freedom through daily intentional habits and cutting edge wellness tools. Now, every day I ask myself this one question because whenever I'm trying to come up with a live, and I luckily I have a list now, but at one point in time I didn't. The one question I always ask myself is, what do I know today that might help someone out there, someone feel calmer or stronger or more hopeful, right? Because I am an encourager. So that's really what guides what I share every day. Not because I have all the answers, trust me, but because life can feel heavy and encouragement really matters to me. It really is something that everyone needs in this world. And now my inspiration usually comes from my personal development. And I'm not going to talk about personal development today, but I do quite a bit of it in the mornings, and I love it. So, a question that came to me the other day was I was reading The Power of Intention, and that is one of my very favorite books. If you haven't read it, please go read it. And he's talking about moral decisions, and not big, gigantic moral decisions, although those can come into play, but the smaller ones, right? He talks about more than anything the tools of what we can come up with as tools to help us with moral decisions. And one of the biggest ones is to ask yourself, what would Jesus do, right? It's not about perfection. I mean, Jesus was the only perfect human, but it's about pausing long enough to choose differently in the small moments and the big moments, right? Several years ago, something shifted for me. My heart needed to change, not just my thinking, but my heart. And I needed a way to figure out how to slow down my reaction because my reaction was not good. My words were terrible. My inner dialogue was terrible. And that's when ideas stopped being theory and became something that I practiced, right? Because most moral decisions aren't big. They show up in how we speak to people, how we speak to our spouse, how we respond to our kids, and how we think about people when we're tired or stressed or when arguments come up. And that question helps me slow down and notice those moments, okay? And I've known these ideas for a long time. I believed them and I understood them, but I wasn't practicing them. Knowing something and living it are definitely two different things, right? And there was a long stretch where I knew what was right, but when life got hard, and I reacted the same way every time. And I can't explain it because that's not who I am. But that's when I realized that I needed more information. I needed tools to help me get out of it, right? And if you go back and see my very first video about on YouTube about how I got into manifesting, that will give you a clue about where I was. Excuse me just a moment. So, through all this, one principle that I ran into was that I needed to want for others what I wanted for myself. And some of those things were peace, patience, grace, understanding, right? All of these things we want to be treated this way. So we need to want those for other people as well. Compassion is not automatic. It is a practice, and what we feel and put out tends to come back to us if you don't know that. not as magic, but as reflection. I try to ask myself, if this thought came back to me, would I want it? Would I want to let it in, right? If not, that's my cue to shift it. And it's not easy. This is something that you have to learn, okay? And if you have a quick temper because you grew up that way with parents that way, like I did, you have to you have to really manage that. And I was reading in the Bible right after that, actually, and all of this came together. It's so nice and strange how that all happens, right? The Bible says in Matthew 12:37 that our words can justify us or condemn us. And that applies to the words that we speak, the words we have in our mind, we repeat inside our own minds. And you really have to learn to think about it and stop, pause, do that pause, right? What would Jesus do? How would Jesus think? That really helps. And I was reminded recently that most people don't succeed in life at first. They have to struggle, right? And often that turning point comes right in the middle of discomfort, which is not helpful in our brains uh, or in our hearts. But it is absolutely true. If that's where you are, please don't panic, okay? You're not behind. You're becoming aware of things. Maybe today, just notice one thought, one word, one reaction. Small shifts matter more than we realize. Thank y'all so much for coming today. And if you have questions, please send me a message or put the message here as a comment on Facebook. Um, I'm ironing out some of these things, learning how to speak to y'all. If y'all have something that you want to speak, if y'all want to talk about, get with me and let's figure this life out together. Okay, y'all have a very fabulous day and Happy New Year.